Little Nightmares looks like the kind of thing you would get if you put Limbo in the hands of Tim Burton and told him to go nuts, but then he went a bit too nuts. That sort of drew me in to start, and I was delighted to find a competent, if unambitious, puzzle platformer beneath the deeply unsettling style. The game follows a hungry young girl as she makes her way off of a floating structure used as a resort for a horde of disturbing guests. Unfortunately, those are the only real details that Little Nightmares provides. As far as I'm aware, neither the main character or the setting are actually named within the game, and why she's escaping or even there to begin with are a mystery to me. That's unfortunate because I feel like you could tell a really cool story with just a little more information. This isn't like Dark Souls, where players need to connect the dots to make sense of the narrative. This is like providing a blank page to the player and leaving it at that. Luckily, what Little Nightmares lacks in a detailed plot, it makes up for with an unsettling atmosphere that oozes out of every room and character. From the dank, poorly lit service rooms that make up much of the early game, to the more ornate resort areas found later on, Little Nightmares is consistently creepy. This is achieved through its good use of muted colours and its repulsive, exaggerated character designs. Like I said, it's as though Tim Burton went a little bit too hard on the creepy factor. The sound design complements the off-putting visuals well, as the minimal soundtrack leaves room for plenty of environmental creaking and dripping to keep players on edge. On top of that, interacting with hostile characters is always a nerve-wracking experience, as their inhuman screams are almost as upsetting as their visual design. Unfortunately, Little Nightmares doesn't capitalize on its striking presentation with anything overly memorable in the gameplay department. The scenarios on offer usually amount to timed platforming sections or stealth challenges, and while these are still entertaining, Little Nightmares winds up ending before it really has a chance to properly spice things up. The game's core mechanics are of course focused on puzzle platforming, not unlike Limbo or Inside. Many of these puzzles involve flipping switches or manipulating the physics of the environment to progress forward, and often result in timed challenges. Trigger the sequence, run to the path forward, repeat. While the circumstances surrounding each sequence can be fairly engaging, like an unforeseen late-game flood of fat people for instance, I can't help but think that you could do something more interesting or challenging. The stealth sections, on the other hand, are a welcome modifier to the rest of Little Nightmares' formulaic gameplay. The few characters you meet throughout your escape are generally hostile, and if spotted, you have minimal time to get away before they catch you. While knowing whether you're invisible or not can be a little unclear at times, especially with one pursuer being blind and all, I found that the addition of these threats introduced an element of challenge that much of the rest of the game was missing. With that said, I do have some other minor gripes. Little Nightmares could do a far better job of teaching you specific game mechanics like running or throwing objects. I don't think I saw a single tutorial until after I actually needed it. This doesn't make the game any harder, it just feels like it's wasting your time a little bit, which at the end of the day is pretty funny considering how incredibly short the game is. If you're looking to extend your playtime with Little Nightmares, then there are secrets to find within each level, but even if you try to find everything, I can't see it lasting much more than a few hours. Where I'd usually be happy for a smaller game to not outstay its welcome, Little Nightmares hardly feels like it begins before it ends out of nowhere. While there isn't a whole lot to Little Nightmares, what's there certainly isn't bad, even if it sorely needed another hour or two to really get going. The game's disturbingly memorable style alongside its competent, if unambitious gameplay makes for a creepy experience that's worth checking out. Little Nightmares gets a 7 out of 10.